The Capital Gang. I am Oscar Semoyamsoke with a bevy of topics, as Moses Kaole of a morning show would say. In the studio, I have one of my favorite ministers, Honorable Martin Mugara. You're most welcome to the Capital Gang. As usual, you're most welcome.
Thank you for having me, Oscar. It's been a while. And I am happy when you call me one of your favorite ministers. But it's good to be here once
Angelo
again.
doubted it, but
no, I said because there's so many ministers.
Yeah, but the favorites are few. So
if you had a family of 70 and you say, but you're one of my favorite children, right? So, out of how many?
Out of how many? That's up to Oscar. But
Oscar means it, I'm sure.
Yes, but I'll tell you, Angelo knows that when we have gangsters, as soon as they become ministers, we have a goodbye to them. The only one minister that is a gangster is Martin Mugara. He comes in when he's free. So, that's the mark. Derek Wandera is in the studio. Most welcome to the Capital Gang, Derek.
Thank you, yes. Oscar. I would say without doubt, Martin Mugara is my best minister. Without doubt, yeah. And happy to be here always.
Yes.
And it's always a pleasure.
I don't know if that will help me retain my position because I don't think you have any say in that.
If this liking, if we can sell it, then yes. And then we have CEO of UTB, Juliana Kagwa. You're most welcome to the Capital Gang this morning.
Thank you, Oscar. Thank you.
Yeah, so what does UTB do? Is UTB relevant, or it just pays your salary to enjoy yourself visiting parks and so on?
I wish. Well, Uganda Tourism Board, our mandate really is to promote Uganda as a premier and sustainable destination. And we've got some very audacious goals and targets, which my minister will speak to as well. So they're not giving us any breathing space.
Goals for UTB.
Goals for UTB. I mean, essentially, if you will allow a bit of vernacular, and the plan is to grow the tourism sector to deliver about 10% of the country's GDP by 2040, which, as you know, is not so far away. So, it's
So we'll just pause for a second as the Right Honourable Speaker, Lydia Wanyoto Mtende, steps in onto the gang. You're most welcome, Honourable Lydia Wanyoto.
Thank you, Oscar. And
should I say Speaker-elect?
Not yet, but just a Right Honourable Speaker of the 12th Parliament. It will come.
Or of gangs, so all those things. Yes.
Good morning to our listeners and colleagues at the gang, and to you, Oscar. I bring you greetings from Mbale City.
And Changkwanzi, I guess.
Changkwanzi was a good 9 days. And I'm back, I think, more energized and with better clarity on how we are going to handle the 12th Parliament. I'm going to take oath on the 15th of May. That's when we shall roll out things legally and officially. For now, we are doing consultations. I was with Honorable Mugara yesterday in Munyonyo. I was greeting all of them. So thank you. And to our listeners, Karibu.
Yeah, well, welcome back. We will talk about Changkwanzi lightly, but we'll save that topic for another day. So you were saying UTB is still relevant. UTB is big. UTB is delivering.
Yes.
Earlier before the show, Martin Mugara, and I did tell you here, we call him Martin Mugara Martin because he's a gangster. And he was saying UK tourism sector came third. Is that how you framed it?
Yes. Yesterday in the conference in Munyonyo that was assessing the performance of the different programs for the year 2024-2025. Yes, Minister of Tourism came third, and it's called the Tourism Development Program. It is big. It has other ministries that support it, maybe around 16 in number. Minister of Tourism is the chair. So we're glad to take this award. We are beaten by Minister of Justice and the oil and gas sector. Yes.
Well, understandable. Minister of Justice beat you?
Yeah, we'll do better next time.
Indeed, we did the scorecard, yes.
Yes, so and I think we deserved it. We've seen the sector grow. We've had over 1.6 million visitors coming into this country, a figure we've never had since the inception of Uganda as a country. We've had brought in around $1.7 billion. Actually, an increment from around 1.2 in the year 2024 and then 1.7 in the year 2025. So we are seeing the numbers growing, employing more Ugandans. A lot of investment is coming in. You'll see the number of 5-star hotels and so many other things that are happening around the tourism sector. We thank government for the support because they are investing a lot in the sector, and it's one of the priority sectors amongst the TMs that government is looking at to turn over this country going forward.
Okay, let's have Juliana Kagwa again on the microphone. Martin here says we have about 1.6 tourists coming into Uganda annually. Yes. I mean, Kenya has 2.4, and yet Kenya have had struggles, riots, whatever. So when do we start comparing ourselves to others and seeing if our performance is good? Your performance as UTB is good.
We've already started comparing, we've already started benchmarking, but more than that, we've started collaborating. We don't believe we're in competition with the region. We believe there's an opportunity for us to collaborate more than anything. And you'll have seen interventions.
But it's not about competition. It's the numbers. I'm asking about numbers. When can we have Kenya's target
we
is
already
3
at
million visitors.
1.6, as the Honourable Minister has said. So this year, all things even.
He's saying it's good. I'm saying it is not good.
It is growing. You have to measure performance by growth. And we're lucky because we're in a position.
Let me check how many are going to Tanzania and how many are going to Uganda.
You can check now.
Yes, I'm going to check now.
We have set ourselves a very audacious goal, and all things even, we should be hitting those numbers, 2 million, 3 million, within the next foreseeable future.
Give me something quotable. What number do you target?
This year we were going for 2.2. That was a year.
Yes.
That was a year, and we're positive trajectory. Honourable Minister said we had the biggest peak ever. Peak for us is anything between June to September. And last year, we broke the record. We also had the best December ever, despite the, election season, etc. And I think people had estimated we would see a dip in arrivals. Yeah. We actually saw a spike. So this week alone, I think we welcomed one of the biggest DJs in the world. It's called Diplo. Again, unprompted by us. So Uganda is getting the right attention and traction, I think, on the global tourism map. And we are unique in the sense that we have an opportunity to grow our sector sustainably because the rest have gone ahead of us. They've shown us what not to do, so to speak. So we now have the tourism blueprint and all indicators, Oscar, to allay any fears you may have, are positive. So that's the number we're going for. Okay. A bit of an upset with the whole Middle East thing, as you know. We weren't expecting that. The whole world was not expecting that. It's impacted the whole of global tourism. You've seen the numbers. They're not a secret. However, we're positive in the sense that Africa is being looked at, and Uganda will benefit as the next best destination.
I still have many questions for you. Don't conclude yet, but let me go back to Martin here. Honorable Martin Mugara. Road to Fort Portal is still not done yet, and you're chairman of that area of NRM, and also Minister of Tourism. And you have and that area is a very touristy place.
Fort Portal tourism city.
Yes, and it's like a tourism belt. The chairman of the area is Martin Mugara Bayenduka. He's the Minister of Tourism. So, how can we claim to be doing a good job?
Just to put the record right, I'm just the chairman of a small district called Ntoroko, amongst the many districts.
Yes, but still, to get there is very difficult because of the road.
Yes, I agree. I just wanted, you were being a bit harsh on Juliana. The reason our numbers are down, really, tourism in this country started probably after 1986. Unlike the Kenyans that were stable right after independence since the 1960s. And that's why they are ahead of us. But for ours was disrupted because of that instability. But I'm glad we are getting there. Yes, there are challenges with infrastructure, not only the Fort Portal Road, but in the areas where we have the gorillas in the Bwindi Mugahinga area. I know government is trying their best. There are contractors on those roads. What we are saying, or telling Ministry of Works, please do things a bit faster. But you can see there is commitment from government. They are working on all the tourism roads. We've given them mapped for them the roads of interest to us, and they have done a substantial amount of kilometers, and they are committing to do more, mainly in Karamoja and all these other areas. So we see some good commitment going forward from government.
But back to you, Juliana, I should tell you Tanzania has 5.3 million tourists.
Let me give you an even more alarming statistic.
Yeah.
The whole of Africa essentially welcomes about 81 million visitors. France, one country in the European Union, welcomes 99 million. 90 plus.
That's
so I'm underscoring the fact that in Africa we don't have the luxury of competing, because all of us are sharing a very small size of the pie. Ours is to collaborate and open the region. So that's what I'm saying. So when you talk about 2.6 Kenya or 5 in Tanzania, it's a drop in the ocean. It's a drop in the ocean. One country in the European Union, because they're a bloc and they go at it as an entire destination. They're in the 90s. So the whole of Africa, 81 million. That's food for thought.
Yeah.
So unless we start to open
UTB.
the borders.
Yes, we have UTB, and UTB is supposed to promote.
We have many tourism boards in Africa, my boss. Many. But if we don't collaborate, we're doing nothing. Yeah.
We have a visa-free policy.
East Africa visa, yes.
Yeah. Oh, only East Africa, because I read somewhere recently that we're even opening up for AFCON visitors.
We're opening up.
Visa-free.
All those are the interventions, Oscar, in order to improve the arrivals here. So we're opening up for AFCON. We'll have that period where we welcome all those visitors visa-free. There are a couple of countries, about 40, that we've also listed for Uganda. Again, visa-free. But it's even more than that. There's an East African visa now, which allows you to come to East Africa as a destination. So you buy, for $100, you can access all 3 countries in East Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda. We're onboarding Tanzania in the very near future. So, I mean, for me, all indicators, at least in terms of understanding the size of prize in tourism, in the 10-fold growth plan, tourism is pegged to grow 25-fold. So we're going to grow 2.5 times ahead of the economy. Yes.
So what does tourism look like in Uganda? Because I'm a Rotarian, we have a district conference where some of those people you're mentioning.
We are there. We are your sponsors, sir.
Yes. So now people who have come to Uganda visiting the district conference, what does tourism look like? How
the landscape is? Uganda right now we are positioned as, I think, one of the more unique destinations on the planet. And you'll have seen, I think it was just yesterday, the Telegraph published our mountain gorilla trekking experience is number 6 out of 20 in terms of, a must-do experience before you die, bucket list things. We are number 3 in the world. Bwindi Impenetrable Forest is ranked number 3 as best adventure destination, coming only after places like Peru and Ecuador, and you can imagine how tropical those locations are. So we are ranking in those in that space. And the reason why we're ranking as highly as we are in terms of uniqueness and biodiversity is simply because we are the home of the big 7. So the rest of Africa talks about the big 5, but because of our primate population, and we have about 19 species of primates, 13 of those are day walkers. But what people don't see, because we are only discussing now with UA how we introduce night tours, we have 7 species of primates that only come out at night. So we are essentially the primate capital of the world, and that's why we boast of the big 7. That's what makes Uganda so unique.
Yes, and this talk that maybe we're losing bits of Bwindi and the gorillas.
I think the conservation
Rwanda has
efforts
been very, very aggressive in marketing them as theirs.
Protecting. Well, let me tell you something. Our conservation story is also something else that we pride ourselves on. The work we've done in nurturing and conserving the forests, protecting the gorilla population. We have over 20 families of gorillas that live on this side of the border, unbeknownst to people, The rhino story, I don't need to tell you about that. We have just translocated rhinos because they have outgrown the sanctuary in Ziwa. We've translocated them to Ajai. So again, the work we're doing in conservation is something that's getting global attention, because the current global traveler now is a conscientious traveler. they are looking at sustainable destinations. They no longer travel far, they do research. And if you don't demonstrate that the tourism you do, every penny you earn, you're plowing it back into the community, you're plowing it back into the wildlife conservation, people just dismiss your destination. So that's what Uganda, I think, will set us apart in the next, in the foreseeable future.
Just two more questions for you. I know your minister is here, and I don't know how much you can say. What are the challenges? Just imagine Martin Mugara is not here.
I just imagine.
Just imagine.
That question was for Honorable. You're misreading the script, Oscar. But at the risk of compromising my paycheck, Honorable, you'll allow me to.
He's a gangster, I told you. He's not honorable here. He's a gangster. Yes.
To be candid, I think the biggest challenge is access. Access to...
Yeah, like that road for Poto.
No, but access even coming into Uganda. Getting to Uganda, we're a bit of a far location. When you think about the Americas, Europe, Asia, who we are targeting more recently, the air travel getting here, it's quite expensive. And so we're looking at ways, and probably, we're depending, all our eggs now are in that basket called Uganda Airlines, opening up into some of these destinations so that we start to bring arrivals. So access to Uganda has been a challenge. It's not a cheap destination to get to. The other one is also when you're here moving within, we are talking and spending a lot of our time trying to attract investors who will open up the skies in Uganda. Domestic air travel, it's one of the things you talked about Kenya and benchmarking Kenya. The reason they're thriving as much as they are is they've got a lot of domestic connections, flight connections within, so it's easy to traverse Kenya. You can move from the coast in a matter of hours into the heart of Kenya, which is the Mara. We want that same experience. You should be able to live in Tebe, and within the next 45 minutes, you're within the impenetrable forest. So accessibility is a huge one for us.
Yeah.
By road.
Yes.
But there are those flights, again, they're expensive because, we lack the economies of scale, which is why I'm saying we are talking to investors to come in, even domestic investors. That is where the money is now. We are also struggling on the end of product development. So again, the global traveler now is not just looking to sightsee. It's not enough to see the wildlife and the landscape. They're looking for immersive experiences. So they want to be part of the fabric of the tourism. So community-based tourism, we have 165 lakes in Uganda. What are we doing on the lakes in terms of product development? There's an opportunity to have boating, fishing, sports, jet skiing. So that product development there is an opportunity, actually more than a challenge. And I'll pause there while I still have a job.
We have birds as well. And you have a conference.
Yes. We have the one of the biggest conferences in East Africa called the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo 2026. We're turning 10 years, so we're in double-digit growth now, and we'll be hosting the whole of Africa, the region, and international visitors as well. It is 3 days of showcasing the best of Uganda. We have the entire tourism value chain will be present there in Munyonyo, and this year we are oversubscribed, so it almost feels, to your point, is tourism turning around for Uganda? Yes, we're at the tipping point, because the amount of interest that Powate, as it's famously known, Powate 2026 has garnered is really unprecedented. So we are oversubscribed in terms of exhibitors, people who want to participate and showcase, whether it is the hotels, whether it is the tour operators, the tour guides themselves. We have a booming arts and crafts industry here, so they will also be there at Munyonyo on the 21st to the 23rd of May showcasing. But more importantly, the target guest of that conference is the hosted buyer, which means a hosted buyer is just a word we use in tourism to mean tour operators that are interested in selling a destination called Uganda and Africa. So we host about 100 of these people from all over the world. They'll be coming from Europe, Asia, the Americas, and they will be here basically prospecting. They have come to window shop for what are the tour packages, what are the itineraries that are available in Uganda, what makes Uganda unique, the big 7 I've spoken of. So we'll be hosting French people, Italianos, and all of those. And for me, my one plea is that those 3 days in Uganda, we need to really put our best foot forward, right from Entebbe International Airport, the people who will be receiving these visitors. It is our time to show them everything we speak about. If we say we are friendly people, they need to experience it right from the airport. If we say we are people full of vibe and energy and youth, then even the guides and the drivers who will be taking them all the way to Munyonyo. And we also have familiarization trips. So for 5 days before the conference, we'll be taking them to the east. We'll be taking them to the Rift Valley. They will experience Bwindi. So before they even come to the conference, they'll already have, started to feel what is Uganda. So really looking forward to hosting these people.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Angelo, you've been in the Middle East a while, and the Middle East not having all these things that Juliana talks about has been able to attract so many tourists. And now, perhaps not so many. Is there any advantage for us?
I'm also a consumer of Uganda's tourism products. So I go to the parks. And
you're lucky. Had you stayed there in a few hours, you'd be a foreigner, so we'd have to register you every time you come.
We'll get to that terrible law in a second. Yeah, but Uganda's never lacked potential. The potential is there. I have many, many friends who are investing, and I'm talking about local investors here, domestic investors, who have oriented towards tourism. And I'm talking about people who are not borrowing from banks to do this. They're turning their homes into places where visitors can stay, all across the country, actually. In West Nile, since we had a small consultation with folks I grew up with, like Jimmy Opigo, who have Ara Fishing Lodge over there. And so we're happy with the return of the rhinos in that area. But there's generally a talk, and you see these waves come from time to time and affect particular sectors. And I think tourism has caught the wave now. And lots of people are looking to making some money. But, again, being a consumer of many products, whether it's air travel or, you get to observe many things. So I was recently in Muscat, in Oman. It's a beautiful city. Beautiful city. It's, of course, also at the sort of the cultural intersection between Africa and Mid-Asia. The Omanis were rulers in Zanzibar.
They still get a lot of tourists, the connection between Tanzania and
exactly.
Oman.
So one of the things that's working for them there, to Juliana's point about Uganda Airlines, is there's a budget airline called Salam Air that flies like 3 times, and mostly to Zanzibar and Nairobi and Dar es Salaam. But the thing you notice about Muscat, despite its very long history, is that the tourism assets, they reside in this wonderful infrastructure. So you look at the road network, how the streets are kept. It's a very green place for a desert. It's like an oasis. And then I came through Nairobi, which again we are co-hosting AFCON with them, so you could see some work. But in Nairobi, the big conversation there was infrastructure. And I was there just 2 days before there was a massive flood that ruined whole sections of Nairobi, and the rain also had the same impact here. So I think these interests, wave, government planners are talking about expanding tourism. If we do not attend to the core issue, which is our infrastructure, it will hold us back. The minister was talking about Fort Portal, but there was a time when, and I'm talking about the 1930s, 1920s, when if you were in Britain, you get a paper like the Telegraph, and there's an advert there about holidaying in Fort Portal. And you can imagine the infrastructure. Then you had to come largely by ship
Yeah.
to the coast, travel by road. But in the waterways, maybe there were some flights, but it was. So infrastructure, I think, is the biggest impediment to tourism's growth. And until we get that right, we're always going to be talking about, our potential, but not the scale that we want to achieve.
Yeah. Derek?
But the tourism sector in this country has, I think, moved several strides, especially post-COVID. I think after COVID hit the entire world, there was a lot of intention to grow this sector. I say this because I've covered the tourism sector for a very long time. And I've been observing numbers. Before COVID, I think we had anywhere about 900 or something like that arrivals. And after COVID, the government rolled out, or the ministry rolled out the Explore Uganda. And I remember I went through different regions. I remember covering the east and then part of, I was in Mbale. And we could see that there is an intention to grow numbers. However, I'm seated in Katuntu's chair, and he's always asking for more. Yeah. Honorable, you say Kenya's...
Yeah, I have messages here murdering Juliana, so...
You say
on that question of more.
Yeah. You say Kenya started their tourism probably post-independence, immediately after independence. And perhaps we started anywhere around maybe 1986 and stuff like that. Rwanda, that started theirs in 2000s, have 1.8 million arrivals. That shows that there is intention, there is intent. Rwanda is doing tourism and marketing their country as far as the biggest football leagues in the world. You go to Premier League.
Their president sending congratulatory messages
to PSG,
to Arsenal,
to Arsenal, and to
what they are is a global brand. Actually,
you see, I'm wearing an Arsenal shirt and visit Rwanda. I wouldn't love to have visit Rwanda. I would like to have visit Uganda. So there is intention in terms of marketing, and for a very long time we've known that tourism is one of our biggest foreign income and domestic GDP. I mean, contribution to our GDP. That means there is a lot of potential. How I wish we did a little bit of stepping up in terms of how we are selling Uganda. And tourism buys into so many things in a country. It buys into health, it buys into economics, but also it buys into the politics of the country. So all these have to be in tandem in terms of how they are sold out there. If we have a good picture in terms of our health, that we are not disturbed by Marburg, we are not disturbed by malaria, so that our tourists are not fearing that they are going to be victims of those, then we shall have more numbers. If we have our economy playing at a world stage, that the dollar is doing so well in terms of in the country, then there are so many tourists who will know and would want to come. But also the political, our political story is very important, that we do not have these squabbles that are spilling out of the country. And I wish that we can deal with those. When you look at Rwanda, for instance, it's hardly that you hear those political stories getting out there in terms of but they're there. For us who have covered the elections of Rwanda, for instance, we know that these stories are there of abductions and whatever, and maybe haranguing the opposition and stuff, but there's a way they have a PR that has managed that. But when you look at the story of Uganda, it is on the world market. So the tourism is a very key component in the growth of a country, and you have to look at it in so many areas. So as the tourism sector, there is need for you to have a sit-down conversation with all these sectors in terms of how do we sell Uganda? Who is spoiling the name that we are trying to sell out there? There are many people who know that you reach Uganda, you get abducted. You reach Uganda, you're going to be tear gassed or something. And yet for us, we know that that's not the story. I mean, it's just a few components and places that have been such things happen. So, in my experience covering the tourism sector, I know that these numbers have grown, and they keep growing every other day. I feel we just need to be more intentional. And the other thing is prioritization. Let's prioritize tourism if we are going to achieve from it. If when you look at the manifesto of Honorable Lydia Wanyoto's party, unfortunately, tourism doesn't actually come number 1 or 2. They are anywhere about 5 or something like that. Means that that's not the priority. Even when it comes to even when it comes to budgeting, what is the amount of money that
Martin Mugara gets?
For sure, I will tell you that it's one of the most struggling ministries in this country. And Martin Mugara probably won't say this.
He does not even have a government car.
I'm a journalist, and I have to tell you.
You do know that Martin Mugara does not even have a government car.
No, I have a government car.
You talk to Honorable Tom.
The other old one still.
I know. They don't have to give him new ones every other day.
A good new one.
You see, you talk to Honorable Tom Butime about the sector, and as a senior person who has been in this country, he will be honest and tell you the challenges are there and glaring. So the government that knows very well that tourism is a fat cow in our country should prioritize it. So priority is very important.
Let me go to Lydia here. Yeah. You know, Lydia, I went to Kilimanjaro, you remember, and our next trip was supposed to be Mount Elgon, but because of the narratives of Mount Elgon, a lot of people fear to go to Mount, because we've forgotten Elgon coffee, Mbale coffee. Now we just remember Bududa, landslide, flooding. Because that's, as Wandera here says, those are the stories. So every time we say, let's go to Elgon, we say, it's rainy season. Then, let's go. The rain has just stopped. Rain is about to come. And those are things Derek Wandera is talking about.
You should go, by the way. Elgon is really underexplored.
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful mountain.
Underexplored, understated, underpromoted. Yeah. But Madam Speaker of Gang here, those are some of your tasks.
When the 12th Parliament starts and I'm Speaker, we will start with the future of Uganda lies in its tourism sector. But tourism is not a standalone. It has so many pillars that back it. But we have everything to tell about Uganda, including the weather. Just the weather alone. Throughout the year, we have the most beautiful weather in the world. We are along the equator. If you are just going to define what we can do with the equator as you cross over to Masaka, that alone can attract so many tourists, both domestic and international. But I just wanted to inform my brother Wandera is that the government priorities, they may not look like the priority in terms of funding, but the right direction of our country, we have zeroed down to 2 main sectors, and tourism is one of them. There is agro-processing as a sector, because agriculture really is a big thing for Uganda. We can be the food basket of the region if we wanted to, but also of the region. We have always said that. And food, I'm telling you the constant. We can say it, but the next steps is what we should all campaign. And even just food alone can be a tourist. It can be promoted to be a tourism sector. Food, cultural tourism, just our culture. Wandera, if you come to Mbale, even before you go to the mountain,
I have been.
And you take you to our cultural center, and you look at the dance, the dress code of our traditional dance, the Imbalu, and and this uneven year, and you look at the practice alone of the brave men of my community. That alone should bring in people from all over the world to see how strong a culture can be, identity and definition of what a people can be. And this is the same with Uganda. You can go to the Kasubi tombs, These are internationally accredited UNESCO site heritage.
Not Lydia, who's
that alone
promoting
branding Buganda,
True.
the dressing, the drums.
How are you promoting them is
culture.
the question.
The issue is promotion, but also strategy. But tourism cannot be wished away. And like you've said, tourism is not a standalone sector. It should be backed by other infrastructure development. And coming from the planning side, I've been with the planning authority. We plan and put out there to the policy makers and to the implementers. When you close your eyes, just tourism alone can turn Uganda into the tenfold we are now talking about of the growth of the economy. But you must do the roads right. The transport infrastructure must be right, either by air, by rail, by water, or even by road. It makes no sense somebody landing in Entebbe and takes 10 hours to reach Kanungu or to go to Windi to look at the mountain gorillas. And then these people of the tourism board and the ministry, you should also be able to promote circuits. If somebody is going to Windi, where is their next destination? Many of them exit after watching the mountain gorilla. Yet there are so many other sites. You should connect the itinerary. So if you arrive in Uganda, we'll take you to see the mountain gorillas, which is very popular. Where else can our people go? So that they do not just terminate after watching the mountain gorilla. And I've been listening to many people, like I have an interest, of course, in Kisoro and Kanungu. They've been crying about the tourism infrastructure. The roads and the infrastructure do not just speak to the policy or the priorities of the country. So if we can fix what we call the tourism infrastructure, but also broaden, it's like the tax base. Why are we only looking at the natural animals and the birds? There is so much that we can brand for tourism. I've just mentioned about food. Uganda has the best cuisine, which is organic. We need to promote. Let someone click on the tourism portal and see the different dishes, but don't talk about the dishes without explaining the health benefits of it, because there's people speak health. Let's speak about the health, cultural food, and how we prepare it.
Like that Nkokonganda, you know, the Baganda have that chicken.
The Mpongo
even if you
story,
bring it from Bali, still
steamed the food and the health benefits that goes with it. You'll get here people who have retired, they bring their money because people want to eat healthy. They want to they want to sleep healthy. If you move to
all over Africa.
There is a brand now of tourism that is speaking, which are called cultural villages. You go to a home. In the home there is maybe a cattle shed there, a kraal, the community based. This is Uganda with very beautiful weather. You talk about those roadside stopovers, gonja and roasted chicken. You can put the side the highways. If you can do tourism highways, stopovers.
Honorable, we are not going to eat gonja anymore in Mabida.
So I am now talking about the quick thoughts. Because when I'm traveling to Mbale, I am not going to sit with my family or children, drive from here to Mafudu or to Nabweya. No. I need to do stopovers. I find there's a clean washroom. I find where I can refresh, and I find where to eat.
So how do you address these things?
Or along the way you find some traditional dances.
Lydia, how do you address these things to UTB, to Juliana?
Yeah, all the time. Even in our policy guidelines, they are there. But so that you do not, and you attract a lot of revenue. You know, there is the issue of going to Parliament with your policy statement, and they give you a ceiling. Don't they give you a ceiling, Honorable Mogala? You cannot budget beyond this amount. But if you are innovative out there, you bargain for a portion of the revenue you are bringing, because again, whenever you bring in revenue, I need to go to the consolidated fund, right? That's the policy. But if you are bringing so much money, the campaign now should be of so much you've brought, because I know, like for example, your tourism input from like the areas of Windi, the national parks, that should be where the debate is, and I want to be happy to support. Say, if you are bringing to the government so much money, 300 billion, they should give you like 10% to run the sector.
Okay.
But they should also align the 10% or the so much you bring to the sector to do your needs of the bigger picture, the road infrastructure. You do not construct roads, but let the sector that prioritize tourism roads. Give you domestic aircraft flights. Work about airstrips, because I don't know how many airstrips we have now that are workable. Because you might have some airstrip, but it's not operational. The aircraft are not there, or the runways don't have lights, or they are not leveled.
I think there are about 40 aerodromes,
which are operational. So that in the portal, when you are branding,
planned aerodromes,
Oscar,
around the country,
that when you are branding, you put in the whole picture. It will take you so many minutes, so many hours by this flight. So someone has a picture, a graphic picture of, if I go to Uganda, this is what's going to happen, and this is how much I'm going to spend. We should not be lamenting. Oscar, let me finish.
Yes, I want you to
We should
finish.
not be lamenting that tourists come, go to Windy, and then fly out. They should stay to other circuits and sell the beauty of Uganda, including good weather, including the springs, the water flows in Sipi, the hot springs in Bushenyi, and where in Chikagata. Yeah. Those are the things that people want to see in their retirement.
Thank you.
So for me, I think that...
So Juliana, I have two questions for you. One says Juliana is contradicting herself.
Yes.
If we are serious about sustainability, we can't promote short internal domestic flights only. They are far higher carbon footprint than long-haul ones. That's one for you. Okay. We need, as leaders saying, make people stay longer, make long road trips fun.
Stay longer.
Yes, and then the big question for you is the greenwashing. Are you paying attention to that? Because that rule is coming in the EU, will take into effect beginning, is it September?
Yeah.
Where you can't just say things like eco-friendly or cultural
you
based,
and even
you qualify.
What about the religious tourism? You don't just think about Matters Day. Expound religious tourism. How much money is being picked from Mecca or even Italy for Rome for the Catholic pilgrims?
So just go on with those two, and anything you may wish to add, and then we'll have Martin close out.
Just to encourage Honorable, there's so much that we're doing that you've spoken to already, and it's part of the reason we have Powate, or the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo. It's our 3 days where we invite all these international tourism players, people who sell Africa and maybe are not necessarily selling Uganda, so that we showcase. And I think this year will be the first time we are doing street food. You've talked about Gonja, there's Mogo, Kabalagala. For the first time on the third day at Munyonyo, we are going to have a street food.
Every time I travel to Gulu, I must stop at Kafu.
Exactly.
To eat very well roast, white-looking.
Honorable, you sound like you're on the Powate knock, because these are the things we've been debating. How do we bring more of Uganda to Munyonyo so that we showcase in those 3 days our best foot forward? So we have the culture you've talked about. We'll be having the religious people there with us. The Interreligious Council is there to showcase all things Namugongo. We are one of the biggest, I think, we have the highest number of martyrs that ever died on one day, one occasion. So all those are there. But I implore Ugandans to support and promote and come and attend Powate, because there's no other day or 3 days that we'll have an opportunity to showcase everything you've talked about, whether it is the food, whether it is the culture, whether it is the dance. So I'll talk about the domestic air travel, and there's a fine balance. And I think when I spoke, I said there are people who have gone ahead of us, the South Africas of this world, Ethiopia, who have the biggest airline in Africa, Kenya on domestic air flights. There's a blueprint. So there's a fine balance between conservation and also, of course, promotion and, improving access around the country. So ours, of course, as a tourism board, together with the planning authority and together with, the National Environment Management Authority, have to sit down and form that blueprint that will not compromise conservation, will not compromise our efforts in greening our environment or maintaining our environment, but at the same time allows us to access those double-digit tourism figures you're talking about. As East Africa, we're just tapering above 10 million, the 3 of us, or 4 of us if you add Rwanda. So we are still very much in single-digit growth. We're talking 1.2 million here, 1.3. These are very low numbers when you compare to the countries that have gone ahead of us. And yet they're managing to do it sustainably. So you give back to the environment. You plow back money from the tourism to actually protect the environment, to bring down your carbon footprint. Thailand has done it. Thailand is doing it. So all these countries that are moving ahead of us, I think for me the opportunity we have is because we are still young and growing, we have an opportunity to write the blueprint for ourselves sustainably. There is that. In terms of the laws that are coming that the European Union is going to enforce across, we're very much alert and aware of that. And part of the partnerships that we have, a lot of our donor groups, whether it is to mention but a few, even within the European Union, there's Enabel we work with, which is a Belgian donor group. There is CBI. A lot of our training, upskilling of the tourism sector is sustainability development based. So when we say we want to be a sustainable development, hub, we're putting the hard work into it. So we are upskilling the chain. And the first thing is sensitization and knowing. A lot of people don't even know what greenwashing is about. Some of them are catchphrases. You add the word eco. Or international, or so that your lodge can all of a sudden start to attract the right numbers. But we are now ingraining, first of all, as I've said, the sensitization and the training, and then the next step is the regulation and enforcement. So ourselves as East African assessors, the way we grade and classify our tourism facilities is an East African-based standard. So it's not just internally focused looking at Uganda, no. We are trying to match global standards. But as I've said, the first thing is sensitization and training our people who are in the tourism value chain so that we can achieve or accomplish, the bare minimum KPIs before we are certified and classified as, eco-friendly. So that work is working, is happening in tandem with growing the numbers. There's a fine balance. I'm not going to lie that, the science is lit. It's 2 planes versus, 18 forests. So we don't have that science yet, but we are working to make sure that we hit the fine balance. Don't compromise communities and environment at the expense of growing numbers. And the world right now is struggling actually with over-tourism. You've seen what's happened in Venice. People are actually demonstrating against tourists. Don't come anymore because of what is, the impact on the community and the environment. So, Oscar, for me, the opportunity I see for Uganda is even as we grow, we can grow sustainably because we are so far behind. But as we catch up, we have the opportunity to do it sustainably. Yeah.
So Kaswara tells you, Martin, tell those tourism people to visit in Toroko. And when is the Toro Semliki Game Reserve becoming a national park?
How can they tell him to visit Toroko? The man of Toroko
this is what the listener is saying. You're not promoting Toroko enough. And yet you have a shoebill, that very popular bird amongst others. Maybe before he responds, Juliana, just state your Twitter handle. There are very, very many comments over there.
Jules Kagwa.
Yeah. Jules Kagwa.
Yeah.
And then the UTB one?
Jules Kagwa, Tourism UG. At Tourism UG.
At Tourism UG.
Yeah.
Norman Magembe, usual listener, says, tell those tourism people that one football legend, Thierry Henry is coming to Uganda. Take advantage and take pictures with him and so on. So these the challenges that you have, Honorable Mugara. Do you put them into targets for Juliana Kagwa and UTB? And say manage these challenges, because again someone is saying you have a minister trying to ban Nyege again.
Thank you. And I want to thank the gangsters for the input and the good responses from Juliana. We upgraded in Toroko. We went to cabinet. Toroko was upgraded into a national park. Toro Semliki, Game Reserve was upgraded into a park, and it should be going to Parliament soon. But first of all, when we were beginning the conversation, we spoke about the tourism development program, and I told you it had so many ministries involved: Ministry of Works, Ministry of Internal Affairs, Uganda Airlines, UBC, ICT, all these agencies that come together in one room and just discuss how we can support each other to make sure that we promote Uganda as one of the best tourism destinations. So yes, we keep discussing. We understand their challenges, and the challenges will not go away even in the next 10 years. We are just trying to see how we navigate them with the small resources we have to make sure that we grow the numbers that we are speaking to. So there are some efforts, and if you look at, for instance, the investment into the aerodromes now, I think they're working on Jinja right now. We have a new airport coming up in Kidepo. We have something coming up in the Bwindi Mugahinga area. They're working on Arua.
But it's not focused, though. You know, I want to, you know, your colleague, who is second deputy prime minister, I think, Right Honorable Kadaga.
Yes.
When she was just starting her political career, you know, she was in charge of, then it was a one-party state here, or no-party system. But one of her assignments was to go and find the number of aerodromes and prepare for their rehabilitation. And this is just in the early 90s, if I recall. You can ask her. And she did that work for a couple of months. Juliana, they're like, I actually checked. I thought there were 40 aerodromes and airstrips, but Uganda has about 47. In West Nile, for example, the two districts where I come from, both of them have airstrips. They are disused. Adjumani has an airstrip, Moyo has an airstrip at a place called Erepi. I have a picture there with a single-engine plane from 1987. So there is an infrastructure that is just not attended to. I mean, if you asked every district to just pave those airstrips, which they can with their works, you can then start landing planes.
Angela, I want Martin here to conclude, and then we say goodbye to Juliana. You have an invite to explore a resort. So there you go. People are listening to you. You are concluding?
Yes, as concluding. So just to on the products that we've been selling, mainly because of our colonial history, wildlife, we are trying to diversify. We are into cultural tourism now. We're building a number of sites. If you go to areas like Dokolo, an area where manga and Kabalega was captured, a number of products just to diversify and make sure that once someone is here. By the way, we did a zoo in Imbale. We are partnering with you in the Imbalo Festival. There are a couple of things that we are doing. And by the way, we are just not looking at the foreign travelers. And COVID has taught us. We are trying to diversify as much as possible. And we are glad that Ugandans are traveling around 3.2. Yes, domestic, around 3.2, but 1.5 directly into tourism. So yes, we are getting there. The only issue is, of course, tourism is not only for government to develop. Government is just an enabler. The main partner is actually the private sector. There are guys who build the hotels, they'll buy the planes, but government has put in place incentives. And that's why I just want to encourage Ugandans. If you want to invest with ease, go to the tourism sector. The vehicles, actually in the whole of the East African region, Uganda has exemptions on the vehicles for tourism, the boats for tourism, some hotel equipment for hotels. We are giving concessions to build hotels in the parks. So government has created an enabling environment for the private sector to help us grow tourism. Okay. So I think the future is bright. Our budget has grown, to be honest. If you look at the tourism budget, I think when we just came in around 2020-21 was around 189 billion. I think this year, because of the support they are giving us to partner with AFCON, Juliana will tell you that we have to buy rights. You can imagine marketing rights from CAF just to associate with the brand, and it's around 27 billion. That's what they've said. So we've gone to around 490 billion Uganda shillings. That's a big jump. It's not enough, but you can see that there's some commitment from government to make sure that at least we grow this sector and get the numbers that we are speaking about. Religious tourism, all these are things we're speaking about. Okay. And people usually forget that we have one of our key products really is the nightlife in this country. It is the best in the whole world, and we have so many people who come and enjoy. So I think we'll get there. Government has given us the security, and I think that's what matters the most. I usually say as it comes in, unfortunately we don't have anyone from my brothers on the other side of the coin. They do a lot of the marketing for us. These bad talks, what you send out there, Uganda is so bad, don't come here, is really working against us. And I just want to encourage them
there's
to
time
be
you're going to address
nationalistic.
them as we discuss a sovereignty bill. I don't know how you will address them. But as we say goodbye to Juliana, Kagwa, I have here Robina Shonobi, one of used to be with us on Gang, says, excellent presentation. Very important information. Juliana speaks well. So let's stop for a break, and after the break, Derek, you squeeze in what you want to add on. But thank you so much for coming to Gang. Welcome back from the break. Quite an interesting break. Malcolm Pamizo is in the studio. You're most welcome to Gang. Malcolm.
Thank you, Oscar. Very good morning to our listeners.
Yeah.
And apologies for running late to Mwalimu's class.
Yes, you're coming from the district conference. I said the Rotary District Conference.
Yes, I am.
And Honorable Martin Mugara here was saying the nightlife is in Uganda has grown. So I don't know, is your lateness because of a northern bypass or the nightlife?
The northern bypass did its job in keeping me away. Yeah. But I'll also say that Entebbe is asking for water. Wow. That's how good it is in Entebbe. It is thirsty for water. Yes.
There's been a problem of water in Entebbe, but I hope it is going to be fixed. So you kickstart us on the next topic. Pardon?
I wanted to squeeze on something, Oscar. I had said I wanted to, and this goes to the Honourable.
But Derek, I don't want to. You put it in comments in the next topic. I don't want us to go backwards, however burning it may be.
Okay, fine.
So you, Malcolm, I don't know, because you've previously been traveling a lot. I don't know how the sovereignty bill will catch you out. But first, tell us here, what is it that's in the sovereignty bill, and why are people worried about the sovereignty bill?
Thank you, Oscar. The sovereignty bill. And I'll start with the name. It's a very beautiful name, Protection of Sovereignty Bill, and I think that is probably as much as they got right in terms of the entire document, because it proposes a very, very important issue, which is sovereignty, independence, self-autonomy, which are very, very important national issues. And so by opening with the protection of that, then it becomes easy to hoodwink very many people in thinking the contents are actually about the protection of sovereignty only.
That's a big word, hoodwink.
Yes, and I choose it carefully. So I won't go to clause by clause, but generally what is in the sovereignty bill is a very deliberate attempt by the framers of that bill to be able to restrict what is referred to as disruptive activities. I think there's a lot of ambiguity in there that presents a problem for those that are going to have to be subject to the bill. So there's a lot of ambiguity in terms of the definitions. It creates, you could even say citizenless people, because you are a Ugandan citizen living in a foreign country and you become a foreigner to your own country. Akin to stripping of your citizenship rights. Akin to, not exactly, but akin to, because there are certain rights of yours that are being taken away as a Ugandan citizen. The broad reading of it, and you look at the history of some of the actions that have come before this particular bill, there's a deliberate attempt to restrict funding to particular activities, which activities are Ugandans' right to participate in very many ways, and in attempting to restrict that kind of participation, then alienating and in many ways stripping Ugandans of their constitutional rights. There's a line that is going around about there's a benchmarking. There are several other countries that have laws on the protection of sovereignty, and that could be true. The countries whose laws are comparable to the Ugandan law are countries that you're not quite envious of, really. You're talking about North Korea, Russia, countries that are very, very restrictive. Countries like the US and many other Western countries, which are, given their challenges, still closer to democracy than we are are countries that have restricted these kinds of laws to political influence, governance influence, not necessarily targeting economic interests and being able to stifle them. So if there is any benchmarking that has been done with some of these laws, it probably is in the decision not to include anything and everything that is in those laws and go with something a lot more restricting. When you look at the remittances that come into the country from Ugandans abroad in the diaspora, that covers close to 5% of our budget, of our GDP, sorry. I think the figures are somewhere towards 10 trillion shillings a year. Now, if that is the kind of money that the government is choosing to scrutinize even further, while everyone else is trying to make, to ease commercial transactions, to ease business, to attract investors, and yet there's such there's a plethora of challenges, economic challenges that arise out of passing this bill, and in its current state, really, it is very shocking. I don't know if the idea is, you ask for, so much and then you get so little and still get something passed. But Oscar, what I can say is that in its current form, it does not even recognize the fact that there are several other laws, current laws, that cover a lot of the challenges that are being mentioned in there that this is trying to cover. So that's why I said it's a hoodwinking, that when you present the issues, it is very easy to see the issues as key issues that need to be addressed, but not be addressed in the manner in which they're being addressed right now. I think one of the biggest sectors that gets affected by this is the NGO sector, the civil society sector, where a lot of funding has been coming through these organizations to support the people of Uganda. It does not support anyone else. Supports the people of Uganda, complements the work of the government, whether it is sensitization, whether it is civic awareness and education, whether it is health related. All of these are ways in which the civil society has complemented government efforts. And previously, there have been attempts to try and, place some government clause into the funding that is coming into civil society organizations to try, I guess, and monitor it a bit better. And that is all well when you're talking about a government that has been respectful of the rights that these organizations have. Lots of ambiguity in the bill leave a lot of room for abuse, and that is what is critical. That when you define the disruptive activities, when you don't define what disruptive activities are, then it is the prosecutor to decide whether this was disruptive or it wasn't. And yet the clarity of the law is a very, very important thing. When you have a foreign agent that literally captures, Oscar, you do travel as well. When you're out there and you send some money back, you might find your people here being scrutinized, might not be arrested, but there's a heavy eye on that as well. That is even affecting our culture. It's a cultural thing. We're talking about culture here. It's a cultural thing to give back.
Some of them send money back to build houses. I mean,
exactly.
But how is that being criminalized? I think that would be okay.
So the idea is that when you send money, when you receive money in Uganda from a foreigner, again, foreigner as defined by the bill, not in our normal speak, then you need to register as a foreign agent. That's essentially what the bill says. So if money is being sent for you to build a house, you need to register as a foreign agent so that you can receive that money and go build a house. Now, if you're trying to stop money that is going to Bobby Wine, for example, and that's the idea, that money that comes in and funds political activities, funds electoral processes, the government itself struggles to fund these actual activities without foreign assistance itself. So it might become a foreigner itself. But if that's the idea, then you have the anti-money laundering law that is sufficient. If it isn't sufficient, strengthen it. Don't discard everything that it says. And again, those have also been applied very, very selectively when they have been applied. So there's a certain disingenuity about how that the law came into being in the state that it is in, and that it receives cabinet approval in that state is very shocking. I think it's something that Ugandans need to be very, very worried about.
You lawyers have something that you call the spirit of the law. So in your opinion, what's the spirit of this law?
The spirit and the spirit of the law is to curb access to foreign funding for various reasons. So it's a painting with a broad brush. That broad brush is affecting so many people. It is criminalizing what would be normal day-to-day activities. It is attempting to strip Ugandans of their constitutional rights. It is really creating a scenario where you have a Ugandan that leaves the country and stops being a Ugandan or becomes a foreigner while they're there, and there are certain things they can't be able to do. We are trying to extend citizenship rights to the Ugandans who are away. Give them a chance to vote. Give them a chance to participate in economic life while they are there. So this goes against all of that, and like I said, with the history of the NGO funding bill and how a lot of these sovereignty issues have been dancing around civil society work and the NGOs, there's a whiff that this is about curbing their activities and not necessarily protecting any sovereignty.
Thank you, Derek Wandera.
Last week I was here, and Oscar, you put me under the dock to tell you what I hear from the corridors, where exactly this law emanated from, and I told the story. And good to it, I sent you a link in the middle of the week, and what I had actually told you was true. It just tells the spirit of the law and where it's coming from, certainly targeting a certain group, NGOs, but also the opposition politics in the country. And it goes without say, especially when you talk about Bobi Wine and funding him and stuff like that. I know that for sure there was a lot of money that was blocked from coming into the opposition coffers for campaigns because it was coming from outside the country. That essentially means that you do not have to source for any foreign funding if you're going to run against the government. And there's one clause that is talking about sabotaging government funding in the diaspora. In 2022, I wrote a story saying, can Bobi Wine's anti-Museveni campaign in the diaspora pay off? And the entire embodiment of the story was talking about the number of times Bobi Wine has been out there and said that, hey, governments in the West or the US, please stop funding Uganda because while you fund them, you are fueling the injustice and violence that's happening in the country. And he has not stopped that request in the diaspora. And whether it's moral or not is a subject for discussion, but you just see that this is what the government is trying to curb, that someone should not go out there and say the country is doing heinous things against its own citizens. So please restrict funding to them. And this is what I read into this clause, that it doesn't even have anything to do with whether money is coming in or not. It's just that when we have funding out there, don't sabotage it, because that's government. That's where government is getting its funding. So for me, like I've said several times on different fora, that this bill is targeting a very small group of the country. and trust you me, it's going to come back to bite. Because at least the lawyer here is telling us about like other provisions in already existing laws. You know, you have the Anti-Money Laundering Act. You have even the Constitution that talks about who is a citizen and who isn't. By bringing about someone becoming a foreigner, or just for a fact of going outside there and speaking a few things against the government, then you're going to have to also visit the Constitution and maybe even do a constitutional amendment to provide for that then you become you lose your citizenry when you leave the country and speak against it. So there is a lot that we have to deal with if we have to endorse this law. And I know it's going to be passed for sure, because many of the laws that have passed on the floor of Parliament have come in such a manner that there is something that's happening, so they're trying to address it, but in my view, impulsively. So this law in and of itself has so many problems. It has so many problems. And I know government has very good lawyers. I wonder where they are, where they go when these laws are being put on the floor of Parliament. Before we know, our government is becoming a laughing stock, because we have to go back and say, no, sorry, we made a mistake in passing this law, so we have to remove it. For instance, the Political Parties and Other Organizations Act that was recently amended to provide for IPOD to join the Electoral Commission under I have heard that IPOD now wants to pull out and they become an independent entity like they were, because then it doesn't sit well with them being part of the consultative forum at the Electoral Commission. So that impulsiveness with which we pass our laws because we want to target a certain small group makes the whole country become a laughing stock. Yeah.
You'd wanted to say something on tourism. I can allow a minute for it, because I'm reading an article here, the Protection of Sovereignty Bill 2026, implications for Uganda's tourism sector. So the sovereignty bill would affect the tourism.
Absolutely. And what I wanted to tell the Honorable is that when you are telling the Ugandan story, especially when you're selling the Ugandan story, kindly use professional people. I know for a fact that these influencers have numbers. They don't know a thing about how to sell the story. They don't know a thing about how to tell the story out there. Can we use professional journalists when we are telling the story? Because when we are selling the story about sovereignty, we know we have read the law. These people just put there and speak whatever they want. They have numbers.
It's a kalango for nation media.
No. And it's important, very important.
You made the point. Yeah. So, Angelo, sovereignty bill.
Where do we start?
Yeah. You've survived being called a foreigner. You stayed another 6 months. You'd have qualified. If you're sending over 400 million Uganda to build your house, again, you get caught out.
Yeah, Uganda goes through these episodes where I think maybe it's confusion. I don't understand. This process reminds me of the public order management law. You know, I went twice to see Honorable Mbabazi at the time to ask him why are you passing such a law? And if you remember, the initial draft of the public order management law even said a meeting of 3 people was illegal. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
So it was one of these weird places that Uganda finds itself, and sometimes, like, you read this law, and I've been doing the analysis for 3 or 4 days now, and rather than get frustrated, I tell myself, maybe sometimes it's okay, like if those of us who have children, that a child, you say, please don't put your hand on that yellow flame, and they're like, no, it looks nice. Let them get burnt first, and then maybe they will learn. But that's my impression, because I didn't listen to what the lawyer said, but I am guessing he just made the argument that First, the law is mostly redundant. You know, a lot of the provisions are covered in other pieces of legislation. And it also tells you, when you think about it, that this is also reaffirms the approach that Uganda uses, especially when they have, you know, let me give you an example in the corruption space. You have got a Ministry of Justice, and then you pass a law that says, you know, let's have an ombudsman, the IGG. Then you proliferate multiple other anti-corruption institutions. Some of them sit in State House, some of them sit outside, some of them sit in the police. You see, eh? So you instead of becoming efficient, you just create another enterprise. And I see the same thing with this law, because we have got really, really aggressive laws that manage commerce, manage organizations, manage information, how it is shared. All of those are there. Then you bring this law. But one of the other redundancies is that, I'll give you another example, Oscar. You remember Uganda had one of the longest lockdowns during COVID. When a state has got capacity, it doesn't have to say it's sovereign. Didn't the president wake up one day and tell you, you can't leave your home? That's what sovereignty is. If we can restrict movement, actually remove your liberties, which are enshrined in the Constitution, because we have a need for that. State capacity is where you park sovereignty. You don't have to say you're sovereign, you just have to behave like you're sovereign. So amongst the many redundancies is this concept here that you have to say you're sovereign. The Constitution says we're sovereign. You see what I'm saying, Honorable Minister? Okay? You don't have to put it in the legislation. Anyway, I found there are so many redundancies, but there are other areas where the law actually is going to come and harm us in a much more severe way. Already, the way in the large government and the multiple ministries and MDAs, and I used to supervise one, what they have led to is ensure that bureaucratic corruption is a part and parcel of our political and economic life. You guys were in Chankwanzi, and the president did speak about corruption. But at the same time, I'm sure he sat there and listened to someone say, we're introducing a bill, and if you look at all the provisions, that's going to make corruption a major feature of economic life. You cannot imagine how many people, to survive that bill, are going to pay bribes, they're going to resort to using cash, they're going to do many other things. It goes against the philosophy of the administration, that you want to fight corruption and introduce a bill like this that makes it almost impossible. The other thing is, we've been talking about investment here. All of these categories that introduce security level approvals for transactions which we consider normal now, and one of the features that makes Uganda great around the world is this open economy. You are reversing all of that. And so you can go on and on about how many ways this bill is a coming disaster. But I think for those who have proposed it, for the reasons that they have, we have gone through this rodeo before. We pass bad laws and regret later. And I think, if you're worried, just settle down. Don't raise your blood pressure. This is just like a child. Let them go ahead, get their fingers burnt, and then we will settle down somewhere. Yeah.
Joseph here sends me a message saying it is not unique to Uganda. Try sending money to the UK without good explanation. It will bounce back. The bill just needs a little bit of polishing. No. Otherwise, many countries have the same.
Oscar, we travel.
He doesn't know that even sending $10,000 out of Uganda now is not possible.
Yeah.
So maybe the bill is not needed.
Central bank regulations, which are upgraded every year, to rise or lower the ceiling of what you can send. Okay? But for me who has more than one residency, okay? So when I send money,
I was calling you foreigner.
Yeah. I am a best example.
Declare those interests properly.
in this room, okay? as a Ugandan who travels, who spends time as a resident somewhere, okay, I can tell you. Let me just use examples of people I meet on a daily, say in Dubai or Abu Dhabi. And Derek and I have spent some time together. So you've got people saving their money. They are cab drivers in Dubai or Abu Dhabi. And I'm talking about a real group that I know. Okay, they now have about 100 million saved over the last 3 years. The most common investment that they make is in land and trees.
And houses, maybe.
Yeah, and I've been trying to
building a home.
and small lockups, and I've been trying to get them to do something more sophisticated. What do you think the day you pass this law, people like that are going to do? Just think about it. The Hubshield, which is the money exchange service, on average transfers between $1.5 to $3 million from the UAE every day. What are you going to do to that income stream when you put all these things? In any case, by the way, what the law says, Honorable Wanyoto, is you don't trust your citizens. So if you're an investor, okay, if you're an investor, you're saying, okay, I don't trust my citizens, but I also don't trust you. But now I'm outside there. Anyone who crosses the border, according to the law, is now a foreigner, okay? Every single amount of money now is linked, okay, to some approval, at the heart of which is we don't trust you. What kind of message are you sending? Sincerely. And I think you should, Honorable Wanyoto, you should advise the head of state that, one, there is no need for this law because it's covered in every other legislation. Secondly, it does not make sense to say you're sovereign when you already are. It's in the Constitution.
It's like saying I'm a man. I'm a boy.
Yeah. Just show
when
it.
Actually, you're a boy.
Yeah.
So we're still.
No.
They say if you have to remind people in your home that you're the man of the house,
then
there's already a problem.
So we're going for a break. Philip tells you, tell Angelo that sometimes kids who play with fire die. They don't just get burnt. This bill will do insufferable damage to Ugandans and the Ugandan economy. Welcome back from the break, Madam Speaker of the gang, Lydia Wanyoto. You are on microphone. What are the advantages of the sovereign protection and sovereignty bill?
I've
crossed over to the NRM side.
I looked at the sovereignty bill. Of course, the title looks
and this bill is urgent,
very attractive
because the speed at which it is traveling.
And I saw the official communication of the clerk about the timing of the bill and the readings, the process, and also the issue of the stakeholder public hearings. But my thinking is it hasn't yet passed. I hope that it will be aligned to very fundamental principles of the law of the land, the 1995 Constitution, even as amended. It still holds the spirit about sovereignty and what is in it for people's rights. Even just Article 1. There is a way Article 1 of the 1995 Constitution, even if you go to Part 8A, if you look at the national objectives, all of them that speak to what makes you a Ugandan and your space and your rights. So the line is thin. When you want to talk about sovereignty, you must have on your side the 1995 Constitution, even without the other laws, because those provisions of the national objectives and the Article 1 and other articles talk about 38, 43, 44. They speak so much about the individual Ugandan, and it speaks to our history because our rights were abused. There was a lot of dehumanization of the people. So the 1995 Constitution captured the spirit and why we didn't want to go back, that like we are opening a new chapter. So when you talk about sovereignty, it must be defined within the spirit of the 1995 Constitution. Unfortunately, many of those articles are still stand in the 1995 Constitution. I also looked at the NGO Act of 2016 because there's a lot about money and foreign relations that also speaks to the civil society in Uganda that has a lot of relations with foreign funding. And in my mind, I didn't even think about the civil society organizations in Kampala that have a lensing of governance and activism. There is an NGO in Bugisu. It is called Give Direct. Every time we have disasters, they're the first with the Red Cross and others on the ground, and they give relief of 7 million shillings. If you look at the proposed threshold in the sovereignty bill, I don't know how they are going to handle civil society organizations like Give Direct, because if Give Direct is giving 7 million to every displaced person, you're not seeking below 40-50 billion shillings, because it is happening in Bugisu, it happened in Renzori. I see them all over the place. So how do you handle NGOs of Give Direct caliber that are really handling issues of humanity and disaster and augmenting government efforts? The Prime Minister's office comes in, sometimes struggling with maybe supplementary budget or inadequacy, but they find Give Direct and Red Cross and other civil society organizations on the ground with some basic relief materials.
Give Directly itself.
And they do the Give Direct.
Has been
so
investigated before.
And this bill, I've not seen the exceptions. Maybe they will be in the schedules. You know, there are schedules. I don't know. I'm not in Parliament. Please forgive me.
There are no exceptions.
So then there's the issue of the history of northern Uganda. I've also worked around the country, so I have a good understanding of the infrastructure and the socio-economic infrastructure and the history of how the conflict evolved. Northern Uganda has had a lot of civil society support, in addition to what you'd call NUSAF 1 from Prime Minister's Office, NUSAF 2, we are now NUSAF 4. But alongside NUSAF, that is government, there's been a preference of a lot of civil society to support post-conflict stabilization, but also communities to resettle. How are you going to handle those civil society, because they don't work empty hands? They come with some money, and the support is outside Uganda. So there are those. So the NGO Act of 2016, but also as amended. They did an amendment in 2024, doing a bit of squeeze and more maybe scrutiny. So how does the NGO Act as amended? And of course, we have the Penal Code is also looking out there. We have the Computer Misuse Act. All these are supposed to be acts of parliament that check, that monitor and do the checks of how things work. But also we have institutions like the FIA, the Financial Intelligence Authority. So are we saying that an audit has been put on ground, that whatever we have on the table today, whether it's acts of parliament or agencies, are not up to the job, so that our sovereignty is threatened? Is that because whatever we do, the object of this bill, in my humble opinion, is that the sovereignty may be under threat. Therefore, we need to put in place legislation whose objective or whose spirit is protect the sovereignty of Uganda. That sounds very beautiful. Who does not want their sovereignty to be protected? But what is happening to these agencies that are there, the NGO forum, the FIA, the laws that are in place? What is the audit on the table about their gaps?
Yeah.
About their gaps. I was recently in Karamoja. Oscar, we did a regional plan for Karamoja, because apart from other plans of the country, Karamoja is a bit unique because you must factor in the issue of security and international border relations. There are many NGOs about peace, cattle rustling in Karamoja. How are you going to handle the issue? It's a unique community. It's not a one shoe fit all. So that's the nature of our country, that some areas you are speaking to people that relate closely to the neighbors, to the situations. Renzori has issues of also conflict, DRC. They have quick support of they are both the natural and the artificial threats. So how are you going to handle those? So these are my issues, but whether the bill is politically strategic, maybe. Whether it has a constitutional viability, we need to look at Article 43 of our Constitution and align, because we cannot run away from the rule of law of our country, but at the same time, the existing laws and the object and the spirit of the bill must align. But fortunately, maybe it's not too late because it has not passed. So these views and these aspirations of what we're talking about today may find their way.
Like it may be passed before you get sworn in.
I was appreciating her line of thought, considering she might be our next speaker.
They might find their way in the bill. Yes,
Martin,
thank you.
For what are the advantages of this bill, in your opinion?
I have read the bill extensively as well, and
super.
I've listened to my colleagues here. You know, unless we are imputing bad motive, but
yes,
if yeah, but you see, we cannot know that as of yet.
It can be implied
because
it can be implied.
No, I still have the bill here, and I don't want to read clause by clause. And I wish
it's a big bill. I think
it's just 30 clauses, and I wish all the Ugandans would read honestly. I think if there is no bad motive, it's a good bill. It shouldn't be a problem, and it's clear. It is to regulate. It is really clear. It's dealing with agents of foreigners, only and only. Anyone who is not an agent and is not working against, because you see,
the definition.
Even the definition is clear. To be honest,
foreigner.
Yes, of who a foreign agent is. You see, this government went to an election recently. Won an election. It has policies, and the constitution actually gives the government mandate to set these policies, and they implement them. Now they are saying anyone who wants to bring in money must align to these policies. If you're not aligned, then we have a problem. And they are clear. If you want to participate in the politics of this country before an election period, then that's a problem. They even tell you don't go into the elections, and these things are well stated. And I want to assure you, the problem has been there. This bill is not coming out of nowhere. We know there's a lot of money that's been coming into the country just to fund. Trump actually said it a couple of years ago. How much money was coming from the Go community to promote? He said it, and I think those writings are already there. So there has been a problem. If you look at Give Direct, by the way, that you're speaking about, I think they banned Give Direct for about 1 or 2 years until there was a lot of background checks and investigations, and then government discovered that they are not bad people. We can work with them, and they agreed on how they would work together, and the clearance was given. So the issue of the matter is there is a problem. The person who is in charge of determining policy in this country is the government of Uganda. If you want to relate with it, please be honest about it, toe the line they have put in place, and then there will be no problem. But if you are an agent of foreign interest who is promoting the interests of the foreigners beyond the interests of the Ugandans, definitely there will be a problem. And there are so many laws that are already dealing with this. I think this one makes it better, because now they are bringing in clauses that are to deal with how they deal with you, punishments and all this. And I don't think it has a problem with the Ugandans abroad, because like we were just saying before during the break, very few Ugandans earn more than 400 million a year, because it's only capping this. It's saying no. If it's beyond 400 million, then you have to
get permission from the minister.
No, not really permission, but declare, because the money is already yours. The permission is not for you whether to spend or not. It's just show proof that it's not of any bad motive or advancing foreign interest. And this law, and actually even for the very NGOs, I think I'll speak to that towards the end. But and it's not unique to Uganda. Tanzania is actually bringing this law. They're already discussing it. Theirs is actually a foreign funding bill. It's already in discussion. Burundi has one. Actually, even the least performing No, I'm just saying, even the least performing economies. But
continue.
Interestingly,
North Korea, you were heading in.
No.
Continue the examples.
I have seen some countries like Georgia, actually, which are very clear. And yeah, not the best. No. And for them, they stated clear that if you're getting 20% of your funding from abroad, you actually become an agent of foreign influence. That is how you
was passed. I think in the last maybe couple of years, I was in Georgia about the time, and the protests on the streets where it was basically passed by a Russian-leaning government that was in power. So it is akin to the Russian law as well.
Yes, and if you look at clause, I think it's 24. The lawyers are here of this bill, because there's a lot of talk. It's going to impede our relationship with the development partners. How much money has been coming to the country, but it is clear actually. It talks about foreign funding to government institutions, and it's clear it exempts these people actually from this clause, from this very law. If you're coming to invest in accordance with the policies of Uganda, there shouldn't be a problem. But if you're a foreign agent, so for me, in a nutshell, if
there's a definition of a foreigner.
Yes, it's there and it is clear. If this law means what is in these clauses, in these very clauses, there shouldn't be a lot of problem. There shouldn't be. That's reason.
One of the scenarios.
And as I conclude, maybe as Angelo comes in, it's good that it is.
Angelo just wants to give you information. I can allow you.
One of the scenarios you're going to face, Honorable, is, say I am a strategist against your political career, okay? Under this law, I simply have to say that the money that is in your bank account is foreign related, and you're out of the game. Just like that.
Yeah. But
by the time you explain yourself and go through the provisions to declare yourself free, it's done.
Yes.
I'm telling you, it's okay to speak in a very casual way about the intentions of this bill, but in practice, both good and bad agents can get and just mess you up with this law.
Yes.
Not only that, you can use it to grab people's property, complicate their lives. It's a security law. That's essentially what it is. And the point I was making earlier is you don't need it, because all of these are handled by present-day legislation. Now, I know that you may, it's your job to defend government policy, but I think that in this case, caution is required.
Back to your conclusion.
Yes, you see.
I also been working in Addis. What you're talking about, Addis is one of those countries. It's actually big on conference tourism. It's the headquarters of the AU. There are very strict laws on money, movement of money, both in and out. But for us in our country, I hope that we can also have stronger laws on how international agencies or people get money outside of Uganda, Ugandan economy out there. I'm talking about international agencies. It shouldn't be one way. About money coming to Uganda and with the lens of security, but money getting out of our country to step up for the interest of our economy. Look at the economics of the country, the economy of the country. Because we see the remittances out, the wiring of the money out unchecked, and that's what the one which you are bringing in is checked. For Addis, it is two-way. The issue of the financial management or the sector of the economy, going out is as serious as getting in. So that it's about the country, the sovereignty of the country, and the economy of the country. Yeah.
Good point. I mean,
look at Ethiopia as an example.
Look at banks in Uganda.
Yes. And I think Ethiopia has an act that was made, I think, around 2009 to deal with the same.
Because the Safaricom that just got a license to operate in Ethiopia, as you know, one of the areas that will be affected is digital financing under this law. But Ethiopians are stepping back, because those restrictions are hurting the economy. Abiy is expanding the economy, it's bringing in foreign investment.
Money goes out.
The Safaricom business, the M-Pesa equivalent in Ethiopia, is suffering, and they're asking themselves why. It is because of these restrictions. The mobile money market in Kenya is the largest in the world by percentage.
M-Pesa.
M-Pesa. These innovations are going to suffer heavily under this not well thought out legislation.
Conclusion.
I will agree with Angelo. Any piece of legislation really can be misused by any person in power to target any individual. It doesn't have to be this one specifically, but any can be used. That's what I'm saying. unless the motive is not good. But for me, I want to take it at the face value. Yes.
And Malcolm said the motive is not good.
All legislation must be
I wish you give me a minute to conclude.
Honorable, once the citizens to assume good intention on its government, while the same government is not assuming good intention of its citizens. Let it be reciprocal. Trust your citizens. Have laws in place. The laws that are there are effective.
No, yes, Martin.
Yes. So any of us can have an opinion on how we. But my prayer is, and I think that first of all there is a problem. Especially after passing the anti-homosexuality bill, what Chagulanyi is doing running around is actually also not good. And it shouldn't be Chagulanyi. It can be any other Ugandan trying to mobilize resources, sabotage government programs. And a government holding power that has made a contract with its people does not want to fail. And it's saying, I need to put some parameters to make sure I am able to succeed. You don't just come here, flood money. But why do you fear to declare? Why don't you give us the reasons as to why you're bringing in so much money and you don't want it declared? After all, if you look at the current, I think, NGO bill, the one that regulates NGOs, still, yes, still some of these safeguards are already there. Like I was saying, this one mainly provides penalties and some harsh punishments, those that would be involved. But for me, as the look of things, it is just to regulate an agent of a foreigner, not an NGO, not an investor, not anyone else.
Thank you. 10 minutes to the end of a show, 1 minute each on Chankwanzi. When Madam Speaker is here, we are warming up for it. Just like last week, we had a short discussion on the sovereignty bill and we've had a longer one. But over the next couple of weeks, we'll discuss Chankwanzi. But you're 1 minute now, Derek, on Chankwanzi. And Madam Speaker of Gang will speak last on it.
Yes, I was in Chankwanzi.
No, speak last. No, speak last.
I think, Oscar, we touched.
Give me all the time.
We touched Chankwanzi last week, and it was very clear. And I was here, and Abdu was roasting me, Abdu Katuntu, and the media, saying that we have not told the real story, and concentrated on what he referred to as social media banter. But I know...
and today we are having social media banter because I'm waiting for the resolutions. I'll get the resolutions, then we can...
I just know that Honorable Abdu Katuntu has a vested interest in everything that's happening, but I would spare him.
He's still a member of parliament, so yeah.
So the Chankwanzi story and whatever was happening there, for sure, I feel there needs to be a lot for the citizens to gain from if this gathering is to go and give some money to the people who are coming from an election at the expense of Ugandans, then I feel we need to have a deeper discussion about our leaders, and especially when they are the majority in the country.
Angelo?
Well, the drama I enjoyed the most was because our friend, Honorable Norbert Mao, was just raising dust. It kept us entertained.
Flowery language.
And also he is running a very, what can I say, a very aggressive social media operation, I thought it very, very, I think this is the first time in the history of these NRM retreats that we have this level of drama involving political competition from within the party. So that was really interesting.
Is it within the party? Is Norbert Mao NRM?
He works in the party.
He has a cooperative.
He's just not gone to the bedroom, but he works in the party.
Of course, Oscar, this is one of those things. This is one of those things when you've been in public life, if you'd like, for a long time, you have friends everywhere. And so, as on the one hand, my very good friend, Honorable Thomas Tayebwa, was on the receiving end of this. And then, of course, everyone knows, Chairman Mao as another friend of mine. I asked myself, actually, I was speaking in our home, so, what should be the right analysis of what is going on in Chankwanzi with this competition. Now, of course, Honorable Wanyoto is here, another friend of mine. So I feel like it's as an exercise of democracy, if you'd like, okay, expanding the option, the liberty first of all to contest.
Thank you, Angelo. We are out of time.
That's great.
Malcolm, your 2 minutes.
Yes, Chankwanzi was drama, really, and that's putting it mildly. I think that it in itself is reflected. It was a microcosm of every problem that we have in Uganda today.
Really?
All of them converged in Chankwanzi.
The problems of Uganda.
No,
a big problem.
The different problems in Uganda could be seen in everything that was happening over that 1 week. From the very blurred lines between the NRM government and the NRM party, from the drama between the two
antagonists.
Forgetting that there is a silent dark horse that is quietly
Lydia Wanyoto.
Well, that one. No, but I think it was crowned. It was really crowned, and I think the corruption bit was major, because that conundrum that you have a speech against corruption on one day, and then you have a use of funds that is highly questionable on another day, and you begin to wonder, are we speaking from both sides of our mouth?
Martin, your 2 minutes.
Yes. I didn't go to Chankwanzi this time, but I think Chankwanzi is a very good place for new members of parliament, or for any other member of parliament, because you have, for instance, this one was 9 days, and it happens, I think, oftenly. This is the time you'll have ministers, you'll have prime ministers, you'll have the speakers, and if you're a good member of parliament who knows how to lobby and make strategic and make strategic alliances, it would be a good time to connect with the people that would be of help in terms of delivering service in your constituency. So I think it's of course beyond what the other things that happen there, the teachings, the ideology, and the rest. But for me, I think the times I've been in Chankwanzi, it is the best place to just relate and create these good partnerships with people you can benefit from, for the benefit of your community.
For this show, Martin has spoken as a very good lawyer. So, Right Honorable of Gang.
Yes, I was in Chankwanzi.
Having last word.
I was in Chankwanzi from day one.
I even like your dress code today. It still has Chankwanzi on you.
Yes, I was in Chankwanzi from day one, and I was among the last one to leave because I also went for range. Range is an exercise to learn how to shoot in a gazetted area. You practice how to use the gun, and that helps you to learn self-defense, but also to remove fear about destructive tools like a gun. But let me let Martin know about the Chankwanzi of this last week and the Chankwanzi after cabinet. The Chankwanzi that you are talking about, which is actually very useful, is the one after government. Let me explain. You're not the appointing authority. So this Chankwanzi is just after elections. There are many people who are anxious, especially the office bearers. Yes, they could be returned, but they are not sure, because there's a lot of positioning and posturing, and the appointing authority is one eye seated somewhere. So Martin, let's be honest, is that this Chankwanzi had a lot of anxiety. Yes, the office bearers are not sure whether they will say there's been stability posting, but that does not, it's not a guarantee, because positions, even the transfers. Today you can be a state minister, tomorrow you become a state minister, the other you can be in a minister that is a bit more stable, then they take you to another. Those changes
or a dry ministry
can cause you. So we saw those posturings, we saw the anxieties, but and they were not so much about your colleagues. They're about one sport. But the president was with us throughout, which is also good, because he stayed through the 9 days, coming in to wind up the sessions or to start them off. So that was also good, and he was able to meet as many members as he can. Some of them new, but most of them, as Martin you would know, there's a way he knows people from even their families or the communities. He may not know you as a person, but when he asks, you realize he knows your father or he knows your grandfather or your communities. So somehow then you are following through the line of the people that he knows. So he has that rare gift of memory of people across the country. So yes, Chankwanzi was good because Oscar. Martin has not told you, but about 65% of the members of the 11th Parliament were replaced. So you have almost 2/3 of new members of Parliament. That's one for the NRM. Secondly, NRM was able to secure more parliamentary seats from the opposition. So we are more. So we now comfortably sit with 2/3 to pass any legislation without the need of persuading.
And even before
anybody.
It was not a problem.
And as we went, we had majority. Actually,
that's a message for
we had
the
also
sovereignty bill.
Yes, over 2/3 are now purely NRM. But also we had the majority of independents joining us even before they take off. They were in Chankwanzi. They said they want to join us all as they can.
Thank you, Lydia. This was the starter on Chankwanzi.
Yes.
We will have a substantial discussion on it. Thank you.
And I am a candidate for the Speaker of Parliament of the 12th Parliament, and I've been more energized by the 5th of May.
We are obliged
yes.
to. I don't know the word I used to say about being
the Baganda said Teddy Kulanga Kulala.
Thank you, listeners of the gang. Thank you, Star Cafe, for powering the gang. We had the CEO of UTB, Juliana Kagwa. Thank you for her presentations. Honorable Minister Martin Mugara, thank you. Our Speaker of Gang, Lydia Nyoto Mutende, thank you. Malcolm coming in all the way from the Rotary District Conference. Thank you. Martin and Angelo, thank you so much. Derek Wandera, thank you. I am Oscar Semoya Msoke, and I shall see you next week.
It's party